Hi there. Hello and welcome to Sons and Sons. My name is Melissa Craig, and I'm joined by a group of amazing people here broadcasting live from the Free Center in Hartford. Tonight's event, Sons and Sons, is the first in the 2021-22 calendar year series of JDPP's Response and a Call. For those of you that have been with us before, you know what Response and a Call is. And if this is your first time joining us for this type of event, let me tell you a little bit about it. The series was born in the aftermath of George Floyd's death in 2020. It's a space for reckoning and speaking about issues of race, identity, and social justice. And this is the time we know we really need it as a country, as a community, as a people. This virtual platform has brought together JDPP artists of color to create and speak and perform their truths in so many special ways over the last few months. It's been a really unique experience, and tonight's event is super special. It's called Sons and Sons, and it's a collection of new work generated this year. Most of it was actually specifically generated for this event because we know how important it is. At its core, we're basically opening up a dialogue about the hopes and dreams and struggles and dangers of becoming a Black man in our world. The stories that are going to be featured tonight offer many perspectives and many voices. And to me, it feels like a really true testament to the courage of all the artists involved. They're right here to my right and left. Can't see them yet, but they're here with me, and I'm so proud. It's a real testament to their courage in documenting our stories through all the different various art forms that you're going to see tonight. So I'm going to take you through a series of recordings, pre-recorded material that was done from the bottom of our hearts and shared with you in full honesty. I'll introduce each piece, and then at the end, you'll get a chance as our live audience to ask questions and offer comments in a Q&A that you'll get some more instructions on towards the end of the program. The first piece that you're going to see tonight is by Tyran Sampson. And it's a video excerpt from our recent show, Emergence, which was filmed on site at the Harriet Beecher Stowe House, or the Stowe Center, also here in Hartford. In this piece, he performs Moments. And Moments is an amazing dance piece with a long history in JDPP. It's offered healing and traveled through so many spaces over the years. His accompanying words revisit a question that has echoed through generations of Black men and Black women and Black legacies, constantly having their voices and bodies questioned and dehumanized. And now, when do I matter?
Going to school trying to receive the proper education, but only receiving the proper fighting lessons. It didn't matter to them why I had built up anger. The only matter of fact was I was wasting their time and I was looking like danger. Time after time after time, searching and looking to find myself. Thought liquor and drugs would do it, but all I'm doing is jeopardizing my health. Probably would really matter if I had wealth. 2 legs, 2 arms, birthed from a woman. I went from a baby to a boy to a full-size grown man. So, that make me a human, right? I can't tell when people trying to take away my human rights. Cage me like an animal and take away my hopeful nights and made them into hopeless nights. It wouldn't really matter until in their eyes they could see that Black lives do matter. It wouldn't really matter until in their eyes they could see that Black lives do matter.
Amazing, right? I told you. I feel light and I feel calm. And I'm glad that Tyran was able to share that beautiful piece of movement with us. And it's an awesome way to start off the inquiries and the questioning that's going to happen tonight and thinking about mattering. When do I matter? Revisiting that question in yourself and hearing that question come throughout all the pieces that get shared tonight. It's really a pleasure to be here with you. For just tuning in, thanks for being here with us at Sons and Sons. I'm going to move on and introduce the next piece. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Alvin Carter Jr. He is my friend and mentor and a source of cultural and musical knowledge for so many of us in this community. His story, called The Men, the Music, takes us on a journey retracing his path to the drum, a path that was lined with strong Black men and deep roots in Black culture and excellence. It's a tribute to the richness of the arts in the Black community as a saving grace for him, and a real statement about the importance of Black fathers in the lives of Black sons. And we will get the treat, a special treat at the end of the video. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Alvin Benjamin Carter Jr. Well, actually, my mother did not name me Jr. She named me Alvin Benjamin Carter II. While I refer to myself as Jr., my birth certificate actually says the second. Daddy, and yes, I still call him Daddy, made an attempt at naming me something other than Alvin, but Mommy had already made up both their minds. Patricia Marie Long Carter told Alvin Benjamin Carter Sr. that I was to be named Alvin. As a Black man in the United States, I could go on all week about the difficulties of making my way from childhood to adulthood in this society. I have a very Afrocentric father who in his later years married a wonderful Sicilian woman. Man, were people confused. My parents are both very artistic and creative people. My mother was a dancer and my father played congas. They had both performed with the world-renowned choreographer and dance teacher Frank Hatchett up in Springfield, Mass, while Daddy was stationed at the nearby Westover Air Force Base. They had moved back to the Bronx before I was a year old and my brother, Andre, was born. They had friends who were in bands. They had friends who made clothes, especially in that mod psychedelic style, with the bell-bottom pants and the shirts and jackets with the big sleeves. They had friends who were artists of all kinds. And even though my parents split up when I was little, my father was still very active in my life. It wasn't perfect, but hey, what is? And I still had them both. Being born in 1962, I was smack dab in the middle of the Black Power era. At the same time, I was beginning to be aware of myself as a person. It was a great time for me. People were sporting afros, or some of us call them naturals. There were dashikis and robes with the big sleeves and African prints everywhere. I was always a drummer. Everything that I enjoy in my life seems to have springboarded from me being a drummer. Daddy began showing me stuff on congas when I was young. As near as I can remember, I was probably around 6 or 7 years old. I was always drawn to the drums in any music I heard, and in the Bronx, we used to tap out beats on cars, on garbage cans, or anything that had a thump sound. I remember hanging out with Daddy one summer day. We were just walking around somewhere in the city, probably Harlem, and Daddy blurts out, "Music!" And the next thing I know, Daddy grabs me and Andre's hands and started running. I don't think my feet were even touching the ground as he ran towards the sound of the music he heard. We ended up at a festival, and I remember seeing a duo with one man playing the African drum with sticks and another man who played guitar with his feet. Yeah, those were great times. Daddy taught me some boxing basics. He taught me how to shine my shoes and how to fold my washcloth. He had an impressive vocabulary, and I picked up on that, and I did my best to improve my vocabulary in order to impress him. I remember that he was an impressive person among impressive people, and that made me impressive to his peers. After a while, Mommy and Daddy split up, and Mommy took up with a man named Danny Taylor. Danny was an amazing man. I don't remember what he did as a job, but I do remember that he had many skills and talents. He was a talented barber. He could cut with clippers and scissors in either hand. His drawings and paintings were amazing. And Danny was one of those people who made those fly jumpsuits and dashikis with the matching hats and the scarves for all the guys in their circle of friends. Daddy, my brother Andre, and I also had these matching outfits. Daddy and Danny are friends even now. Daddy eventually moved here to Hartford, and in 1972, Andre and I began spending part of our summers here. There was so much going on in the cultural awareness movement, and Daddy and his friends were right in the middle of it. He was playing and teaching African drums at the Artist Collective, the Sand Everywhere School, and the Shanti School. It was like he was a nexus for all these creative and culturally aware people. There were jazz musicians and dancers and visual artists and actors and martial artists. It was great. It was around this time that the drum began to take its place in the formation of the Alvin you see before you today. I was playing the drums and later doing African dance and hanging out with Daddy and the people he attracted. That summer, Daddy took me to one of the Monday night concerts, and I saw Billy Higgins on drums, and his press roll smacked me upside my head. I knew from then on I wanted to be a drummer. And when I would go back to the Bronx just before school would start, I always had my drumsticks with me. I have all these memories of men that were talented and hardworking, who gave me lots of love, attention, and guidance when I was around them. Harold Uncle Hardy Jackman was one of Daddy's best friends. Uncle Hardy was one of the cool dudes in the neighborhood when they were younger. He had a huge personality, a hearty, boisterous laugh, and huge hands. Mommy's stepbrother is complicated. Uncle Ronnie was another prominent man in my childhood. We have the same birthday, and Aunt Dell, my mother's sister, says we have the same personality. These are just some of the men that were important in my perception of cool black men. There were many others, and it would take much too long to recollect and mention them all here. These men were cool and hip, and I wanted to be just like them. In 1976, Andre and I moved here to Hartford to live with Daddy. By then, the Artist Collective and other places like it were in full swing. I began to take the drums seriously during the 8th grade and began playing in the Weaver High School marching band and concert band, as well as a drum and drill team called the Stowe Village Daredevils when I was in the 9th grade. I played all through high school while still taking dance classes, took African, jazz, ballet, and modern. When I was in the 10th grade, Andre and I moved in with my grandmother, Gertrude Virginia Carter Locklear, because Daddy got a really good job in Danbury and didn't want to uproot me and Andre. When I went to live with my grandmother, church was a part of the routine, and I actually liked it. I played the drums in the choir and soon became the main drummer. We went to Sunday school and on trips with the youth groups, etc. Pretty soon, I became interested in Bible study on my own, and after I graduated high school and moved out of my grandmother's apartment, I continued to attend church and Bible study on my own. While there are many significant events in my life as a performer, there is one that stands out, and it points to what I've been leading up to in this piece. As the drummer for a band called the Afro-Semitic Experience, we had occasion to perform at a theater in New York, and I don't remember which one it was, but this is what happened. Baba David Coleman was the percussionist in the group, and him and I also had a special bond. He and I spent many nights sharing hotel rooms while we were on the road with the band. After some phone calls and cajoling, Daddy, Uncle Ronnie, Uncle Hardy, and Danny Taylor were all sitting together in that auditorium. They were all there to see me play, and Daddy was the only one to have had personally seen me play as an adult. Baba Coleman was elated when I told him that the main men of my childhood were all in the same place. These were my dudes, and they were all there, all of them still showing me the love. He pointed out how so many young black kids don't have the male presence in their lives in that way, and how rare it is to see so many black men together to support a family member like that. And there I was, as an adult, still the beneficiary of their love. Well, thank you for allowing me, Alvin Benjamin Carter Jr., son, husband, father, grandfather, minister of the gospel, and somewhere at my core, drummer, to share with you. Grace and peace be upon you.
Uh, I don't know about you guys, but I'm already moved. I'm like, I need a Kleenex soon. I'm really feeling happy and super uplifted by Alvin's piece and kind of re-energized about the nature and the opportunity that we have to lift each other up as people. And I think his story really drove that home for us to really feel the importance of having role models, having support, having each other's backs, and having pride in our community. Happy to introduce the next piece. And in saying so, I want to make sure we understand that there's so many voices and perspectives about this topic, right? And that's the purpose of an event like Sons and Sons, is to offer you many, many things to think about and how you're going to go and take action yourself and respond to what you see and hear tonight. So I have the pleasure of introducing the next piece, which is called Transitions. It features Tamerlan Chauvet, and it is an amazing, powerful statement through a uniquely Black lens about human struggles around identity, acceptance, and love. He shares his experience of being constricted to a gender that he no longer claims. I'm gonna rephrase that because we're on live right now. They share an experience of being constricted to a gender that they no longer claim. And it's okay to make those moments and correct yourself out of respect and out of understanding what the world needs now in terms of accepting each other. So I'm glad that I took the time to rephrase and correct myself, and you should always do that too. But it's a shared experience about how they're constricted to a gender they no longer claim, and the courage that it takes to really step into your own shoes and live your life. Tamerlan bravely shares their voice and thoughts about the Black father-son relationship and the challenges to traditional ideas around what it means to be a Black man and a Black son. Please enjoy Transitions.
Hello, my name is Tamerlan Chauvet. I am an interdisciplinary artist. I'm a songwriter, singer, and I also identify as non-binary. To be non-binary means that I identify neither as a man nor a woman. I exist as I am. In my song Transition, I detail my experiences with feeling pressure to conform and become a man when I was once a son, and how I chose to walk in my truth. Thank you. No, I am not a man, though I was once your son. For you I did pretend, but now that time is done. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun. When I was young, I had in mind a better life for me, where I can do the things I want, a version where I'm free to wear the clothes that I desire, to prance about the streets, to find a prince who'd be my own, lay kisses on his cheek. But I was told to tone it down, they feared that I'd be beat, fearful of shame that I would cause, they caused me to retreat. And in myself I found a home more solid than concrete. The words and jabs you've thrown at me does not mean my defeat. No, I am not a man, though I was once your son. For you I did pretend, but now that time is done. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun. It hurts to know that I am harmed by those who look like me, treated like a traitor, left me in disbelief. My words, my grace, not even charm would make them all agree. It sucks that they must be convinced of my humanity. And you may say my mind was washed, but I must disagree. It is my life, so I must choose to live my life as me. No, I am not a man, though I was once your son. For you I did pretend, but now that time is done. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun. No, I am not a man, my journey's just begun.
Wow, amazing. So glad. And Tamerlan is joining us tonight from New York via Zoom. So soon, friends, you're going to get to see everybody in the cast and open up and be able to respond, ask questions. We're here on the edge of our seats, literally watching each other's footage, because this whole process has been kind of done in a strange vacuum, like the world is now, where we're all working on our own. And then the magic of JDPP pulling all the footage together to make us, and now we actually get to be in the room together enjoying each other's footage. And it's it's silent but warm and feeling really, really good to share with you all out there in the world. This next piece, we have another piece from Tyran Sampson. And it's also excerpted from Emergence, which was our show we did earlier this year at the Harriet Beecher Stowe Center. It's called Finding My Voice. Now, if you're interested, the full show for Emergence will be available online in February of 2022. So, stay tuned if you're a digital subscriber to JDPP, or if you're in-person person, all these experiences are going to be available to you to watch and enjoy, and give yourself some more food for thought of how we can all change the world through what we're doing. It's a really key element tonight in understanding the process of growing up. This piece called Finding My Voice by Tyran. His personal account and his experience and accompanying dance is a real testament to the resilience and courage that's needed for a Black man to navigate the dangerous and sometimes deadly terrain that faces them daily. It's raw, it's honest, and it's beautiful. And I hope that you will take something away from Finding My Voice by Tyran Sampson. Thank you.
These cops and prosecutors are so shady. Slave master to a slave camp in a different shape and form. Damn, I was blinded to the hype of America, land of the free. I was 16. I took a classmate laptop. Of course, the cops was called. Yes, I was charged with a robbery. Anybody knows that a robbery means jail time. Nobody was there to advocate for me right, so I copped out to a larceny and received probation. Damn, my life is over. Might as well keep causing havoc into my life. That is what I thought then. After all was said and done, it finally caught up with me. At the age of 18, I had 8 years to do. I did my time, and my eyes was open a little to this world we live in. I was not into the midst of trouble anymore, but I did have loved ones that I hung out with that were. So one night, I'm celebrating my brother's birthday with him. We were riding in the car. The cops tried to pull us over for a robbery that occurred that night. As I sat in the car and watched my little brother get tased up, my door swung open. I got beaten over the head with a gun. In my head, I'm thinking, what did we do? What did I do wrong? As I was on my way to the hospital, the cop told us we were going down for a robbery. In their eyes, they really thought they had a couple of suspects to pin this robbery on. But they got the whole information wrong. The victim identified the suspect as 2 white males, not 2 black males. One of them was an employee at the dollar store that got robbed. We were cleared that night of the robbery, but they still had to figure out a way to cover up what they did to us. They knew I was on probation and the charge would mean a violation and I would be back in prison. They claimed that I assaulted one of them, but how could that be? I was handcuffed. Time was offered to me. What did I do? I refused it. I fought and learned about the rights that were never taught to me in my life on the streets. Finally, I beat the case, but they found a loophole to still give me jail time, 5 years. When I came home, I hooked up with people that showed me how to use my voice about what is wrong in our neighborhood, state, country, world. My story is not unique. It's one of many stories of the system that is set up for black men such as myself to lose in life. I'm a good fighter with a fist, but a better one with my voice that sounds out my mouth from a human body.
Well, I don't know if your hairs aren't standing up, if your eyes aren't watery, you're not watching the right program, because this is making my my body do kinds of amazing things, is listening and taking it in, being here sitting with my son, being here with the other artists is just amazing. And I hope that you're um, feeling inspired and feeling like a part of this community and a part of this narrative, because it's up to us to do whatever's right in the next phase of things. Keep this going, keep the story going, and keep trying to make the world a little bit better place by listening to each other. So thank you, Tyran, Alvin, Tamalon. So far, an amazing presentation. The final piece for tonight for Sons and Sons is near and dear to my heart. It's a combination of thoughts and words and images from myself and my son, DeAndre Hamblin. It's a chance for us to talk about our collective and combined experience growing up Black in this community. Our writings are juxtaposed together in a real call and response moment. It's literally a dream come true to do this kind of work in this kind of way with him. My piece is called Holding On and Letting Go, and it describes the journey of a mother raising a Black son. And DeAndre's piece, The Only One, counterpoints with his words and his experiences as a Black man and a Black son being raised by a Black woman. It took an amazing and tremendous amount of work to put all this together, because we all, like I said, worked in our separate bubbles. So just before, it's all a memory, I want to make sure we say thanks to Robin and Judy and the people that made all these recordings possible. But obviously, we're also standing up real proud about our stories getting told and having the courage and the honesty and the vulnerability moment to share it with all of you. So please enjoy the final piece for Sons and Sons, and then get those questions ready for the talk back after. As the months went by during my pregnancy, I had to face some harsh realities about the world outside the safety of my mother's home. People young and old looked at my growing belly with questions, concern, disgust, shame, and sympathy. Who was she? The stereotypical promiscuous teen mom, the Black girl from the ghetto with no home training, the victim of some dysfunctional or abusive situation. The look of judgment on the faces of my white teachers and my white classmates in my all-white school broke my heart often, but it also gave me a purpose. I assumed everyone thought that I was going to lose because I got pregnant so young. I had to prove to them that I was not a failure, a future welfare case, or any of those other bullshit preconceived ideas that people saw when they looked at me. My son became a beacon of light and hope for my future elevation before he even left my womb. Through that umbilical cord that connected us, we became best friends, partners, mirror images, forever connected at the soul level.
Imagine coming into a world all alone. You can't see, and the only sound you recognize is your mother's heartbeat. At some point, you realize the only person you can rely on is the only one you've always been connected to. Growing, learning, and living through her eyes, her words, her lessons, and her methods. There will come a time when you start to wander on your own and create new ideals for yourself. Trying to remember what she taught you is very important, and you know you're the only child. It's pretty tough. I never knew the troubles and split decisions I would have to make trying to keep her words in mind.
I always said I love you when he left my presence, from preschool to high school, and even to this day. I was constantly reminding my beautiful little brown boy that he is worthy and wanted and loved and safe. He was an only child, my only child, and I had the responsibility to prepare him to carry on my legacy. But the world seemed to be gobbling up Black legacies and Black men left and right. Drugs, crime, violence. We're all trapped in a system that would rather see my son in jail than in college. I developed a strategy for his survival, the best that I could. Keep him busy with activities, trips, sports, arts, community service, anything to deflect and distract him from the ills of the mean streets and the racist world. I tried hard to present it to him as a just place, colorblind, fair, a place where he could be anything he wanted. The truth is that the world is scared of Black men.
Growing up in Hartford, I was surrounded by drug dealers and gang activity. So there was so much other Black men who looked like me, but they didn't have the same home training. I would think to myself, I could never do this to my mother. She'll be all alone, while watching my brothers lose it all with one bad choice. Time and time again I felt, am I gonna be the only one all the time? I hated feeling like the outcast, like the one who thought differently, but I couldn't help it. Being the only child does something to you. It makes you selfish in some ways. For some, it's possessions, but for me, it was about my lifestyle and how I wanted it to be. I was always goal-oriented growing up and was a big dreamer. Going to school in crowd mode gave me a different look. I saw kids with their big houses and nice things, and I wanted to live just like that. Not to mention being the only brown kid in class made me embrace being different, because I had to be. I loved and hated being looked at as someone I wasn't. At first, I had to understand that me being Black in a mostly white school would make it more challenging for me to fit in with the other kids.
At home in Hartford, we were nestled in the North End, surrounded by Blacks, Jamaicans, Puerto Ricans, playgrounds, bodegas, and music. I was DeAndre's cool mom, the mom who paid attention, cooked dinner, fed all of his friends. My home was like a sanctuary for my son and all the other growing brown boys in his circle. The world was so different for them than it was for me growing up. Much more dangerous and difficult to navigate for anyone, especially Black and brown folks. I would say a little prayer to myself every time he left the house. Please, God, bring my son home safe to me. The world sees him as a threat, but I know his heart is good and kind. One day he confronted me and told me that I had lied to him. You said the world was mine, Mom, that I could be anything I wanted. You lied. I did everything you said to do, and I'm still not ahead, not winning. My heart broke for my little brown boy, now a Black man, and I couldn't fix any of it.
I hated not being picked for a partner, or when the teacher thought she had to give me extra attention. It felt like I was less than unequal to the other kids, so I would sometimes just refuse to help and choose to work alone to avoid being outcasted. Being Black in a mostly white school made me want to break the chains and the stereotype of just another Black boy from the streets. There were so many trials and tribulations that came with this split lifestyle of being in the hood and in the suburbs. I would get teased for the way I talk, walk, and live in both places. One world saying I couldn't speak properly, and the other saying I sound ghetto. I protected my thought process so much, it got to a point where I would just ignore the obvious.
Things I wish for you, then. 10 fingers and 10 toes. A strong tether to our community. Food and money to take care of you. An America that doesn't judge you. Discernment to make good choices. Pride in your Blackness. For you to have a gentle touch, a strong mind, a smart tongue, and a warrior's spirit.
I had to learn that the way that I think is most important because I'm the only one who wakes up in my skin every day. It's a long roller coaster ride that never really ends. It's confusing and scary at first, but if you keep riding, you realize that the loops and ups and downs are all part of the thrill.
Things I wish for you now. Endurance to survive the long nights. Not to be pulled over and harassed by the police. Not to be shot dead in the street. For you to break the curse of generational trauma. For you to build generational wealth. For you to remain fearless against the racist world. And for you to remember always whose son you are.
I always wanted to make my mother, community, and family proud, but sometimes things didn't come as quickly as I wanted them to. As the years went on, I realized I needed to love me for me and embrace my Blackness and my unique aura. I learned that if I don't love myself, how can anyone else love me? I came to the conclusion that I was just misunderstood and that I am a gem to the world.
It's hard to let go of your little brown hand, especially when I look in your big brown eyes and see fear. Mommy's here, don't worry. Letting go means relinquishing power, passing that torch of control over to you. But are you ready? Have I prepared you well enough? It's hard to see you fall or fail, but I have to let you find your own way. I have to let you fight your own battles. Letting go will be sweet once I get the hang of it. I'll leave behind the hurts of the past and carry forward the lessons. I'll let go of my insecurities and cherish you and my memories for always.
To all my Black brothers out there with no role models, remember, Black is bold, Black is brave, and Black is brilliant.
Oh, here we are. I'm a little speechless, obviously, trying not to cry. It makes me emotional. We're pouring our hearts out here and we're sharing our real stories with the world. It takes a lot of bravery. I'm joined by my fellow castmates here on the couch, as well as Tamerlan virtually from New York. And hopefully you'll be able to see, you see their beautiful face as well come up shortly. There you go.
Hi.
Hey. So thanks so much for being here with us tonight, audience members, young, old, far and wide, wherever you are out there in the world. This is the premiere of Sons and Sons. It's a part of the Response and a Call series by JDPP. And it's an amazing platform for us to share with honesty and with courage about what we go through as Black and Brown people in this country, in our community, even within our own families and in ourselves. It's been a real pleasure to present the work to you. And at this point, I'm gonna turn the program slightly over to Robin to give you some instructions about how we can have this talk back be really fun and productive. And that gives you a moment to think about what your questions and comments are gonna be for us. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, Melissa. I just have a couple of slides to push through here, some production credits, of course. And then in terms of the talkback, we're gonna run this the same way we've been running our virtual talkbacks. If you use the hand raise feature there along the bottom, I will invite you to unmute yourself so you can ask your questions out loud. They'll be able to hear you and you can have more of a live conversation. If you prefer, you can use that Q&A feature and type questions, and I will communicate those to our panelists here. Before we begin the callback, and while you're sort of thinking of some questions and conversation starters, I want to give you the opportunity to support the continuation of this amazing series. You can scan that QR code with your camera phone, and it'll bring you right to that page where you registered. And you can make a donation there to support the continuation of this series. We want to give a special thank you quick to our funders, and also a special thank you to Zoe Tatfield and the Free Center, of course, for being our hosts for this evening. Okay, and now we want to invite you to give us your thoughts. I'm going to switch back over to our panelists here. We've got so many wonderful comments coming in through the chat. Thank you all for being part of this. All right, do you have anybody who would like to raise their hand, unmute, and join these panelists here in the space?
This is the beauty of these experiences. We can connect from our houses, from our phones, from our cars. But I'll make a comment that I'm like in awe. I'm so lucky to be able to be on this couch and be a member of this team of people. And you know, having the uniquely woman voice of the script and of the show was important to me, but I feel like so elevated by the stories of the Black men and people and persons and beautiful souls that have joined us for this material. And I hope that you guys take away something from it as well.
So we've got one hand raised. If you want to unmute yourself and introduce who you are and start a conversation.
Hello,
There you are. We
I
can hear
knew
you
it.
great.
I knew it.
my name is Alvin Benjamin Carter Sr. And I would just like to say how proud and grateful I am to all of you for your contribution toward making this a better place to be. Deuce, thank you so much, son. It's a wonderful tribute to our friends and the people that helped to raise you. Melissa, how wonderful it is to see this aspect of you. I remember you when you were
Boy.
a teenager, and I'm just so proud of all of you. I hope you continue to contribute. Peace and blessings be upon us all. Thank you.
Thanks, Abu.
Thank you, Daddy. So I would like to comment as well to recently acquired artistic friends and to longtime friends. It's really cool to be up here with someone that I knew when they were a little kid. And then to see her with her own grown son. And having grown children of my own, I'm by no means a single mom, but have had many of the same challenges, just making sure that my children and the other children around me know that they are loved and that there are people around them looking out for them, because that's what I had when I was growing up. And the four men that I mentioned were just four of many. I mean, too many people to mention at this one time. But again, I'm just grateful to all of them. And I hope in some way I can do to and for the young folks like DeAndre what those men in my life did for me. There weren't only men who shaped me. I mean, of course, there was my mother, my grandmother, and my aunts and dance teachers. But since we happen to be talking about men, I just wanted to give that special focus to all the men that helped point me in the right direction.
Ashe. Nice.
Is there anyone else who would like to raise their hand, be brave, unmute, and join us for the conversation? Oh, we have someone here. Let's check it out. No, I'm sorry, a little technical difficulties.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. We're all still decompressing a little bit from all watching. I think the audience is probably in the same space, right?
We're looking at the screen instead of looking at the
I'm
camera.
gonna. Sheila Fisher is here. You can unmute yourself, Sheila.
I think I'm unmuted. Am I unmuted?
You're good. We can hear you.
Okay. This is for DeAndre and Hamelon. I am just blown away by the courage that you young men have to articulate finding your places in a new generation going forward. And so my question is, how do you reach down and find that courage? I mean, it's so beautiful that you express your sense of yourselves and your sense of the possibilities going forward. But I know how much it must cost to summon up that bravery. So how do you do it? And thank you so much for making that accessible to us.
You want to go first, bro, or me? All
I
right.
guess I'll go first.
All right, yeah,
I don't mind going first. I think for Black people specifically, not even just Black men, survival and resilience is not a choice. So whether we choose to muster up that courage or not, it's something that has to happen. And I'd also just like to clarify that I don't identify as a man. I identify as a non-binary person. My experiences as being a child and being reared to be a man is what I relate to more than manhood itself. I identify as a non-binary person.
Well, for me, I feel like the only way to like get over a lot of stuff that goes on in my life, like I have to understand myself and I have to be able to admit a lot of stuff to understand and wrap my head around my whole life. Because sometimes I went a lot of my years growing up lost, like not really understanding, like looking at other people and wondering why I feel so different from them and why I think so different. But when it comes to like letting it go and just talking about it here, it kind of is like a mental, like it just helps me like let go a lot of pressure that I have on my back and that I think about. And I don't usually talk to a lot of people about it. So for me to be able to express myself and not have like it'd be probably a lot harder for me to talk about that same type of stuff when it's real people like right here next to me. So for me to be able to start there, it's like it's only a first step. It's like it's more courage that could be like it's more that I could be doing to help like this whole community, because I feel like I'm really one of those people that got the best of both worlds, like being from the ghetto or whatever you want to call it, or just a place where a lot of bad things and good things too, but a lot of bad things happen. And then I went to school where a lot of those kids never even heard that when they hear the police sirens, they're not so used to it like how I am. That's just one example, but like just things like that it just helps me understand who I am, and it helps me build myself up instead of looking at myself like I'm like a bad person to the society, or not, I don't fit in. Like people should want to be around me. I should want to be around people and want to express myself and let them know, so they could probably learn from me and I could learn from them.
Shay.
That's it.
Thank you. Jason, did you want to unmute yourself? You had your hand raised.
Right.
You are.
Very, very powerful piece. And cut and dry, go straight to it. The word expectation is like, wow, like that's my nephew. I never heard him speak so powerful. So me and my daughter were just sitting here watching the piece. She's like, wow. And we're wow, because Yaya is like Captain America. So duh, if she has a child, he's gonna be baby Captain America. So I don't expect nothing less than that from him. But like it was definitely something that I was not expecting. I didn't even like know what I was getting into, but I was like, because it's a family moment. Thanksgiving is coming up. Times are hard. Some people got it worse than others, man. Some mamas smoking crack right now. Like, it's kind of crazy for everybody, but like, I was very thankful, and my hat's off to my nephew, because he doesn't show that emotional side too much, because we grew apart. Like I said, it is what it is. It ain't like we are ghetto, but I grew up in the ghetto. So it's like this shit is what it is. And for him to be so like vocal and so transparent, and me and Jayla just like sitting here, we're like, wow, we're like flabbergasted. I was moved myself. I'm definitely proud. And Mel, you do 100 job with me, Jayla, DeAndre, you do 100 job. 100 job. So
Thank you. Love you.
wow, we just want to just like make sure that we're here. You got anything to say that you want to say? Like, DeAndre was like amazing. He was like an actor, right? What do you want to say? You want to say anything?
I would like to say that DeAndre was being powerful, and I like how he was expressing his emotions. And I want to say thank you, Yaya and DeAndre, for being alive, and thank you for all these people to tell me all about your backstories and all the way how you are in your life. And I really appreciate being here, and I learned some new stuff. And for me to be a 9-year-old, I really appreciate all of you guys to teach me all these life lessons.
Love you, JJ. Love
I
you
love
too.
you too.
All right, bye. See you guys later.
So we have had one question come in through the Q&A. Carla asks, what aspect of each other's pieces resonated most with you?
I want to start with Tyran's piece when he said that he got like the cops did all that crazy stuff to him. Like, it's just it's just crazy how like people like me personally, I never been through nothing like that. So for him to like, for me to hear that, it's like a movie, but it's not, it's like real life. And he's sitting here next to me and it's like, it's hard for me to like wrap my head around like why a cop would like be like, feel me? It's like this system is real tricky. And it's like, for some reason, it's like I felt like I had like something that was just protecting me this whole time because I never been through something like I've been in handcuffs before. I never been through something like that where they try to like label you and really like take you like and like I never just been through that. So for me to hear how he went through all of that and still can sit here and function and feel me, like, and I know it's not easy because I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of people who go to jail and they don't come out the same way. They don't come out with the same brain power, or they come out with less brain power. And sometimes they have that same revolving door and they keep doing the same thing. So for me to just hear that, it make me like, it could be one of my friends, it could be one of my people, or it could be me. Like it's just like an older me, or just the same type of mindset where it's like you grow up here and you go through a lot of things that mold you into a person, or into you have certain characteristics that you might not fully like, you might not agree with, but like it might not just, it's not you, it's just something that it makes you a certain way. Like the atmosphere around you, the community around you makes you react a certain way when you know really in your heart, like my mom said, I have a kind heart, like that type of stuff, like it matters. Like that's the person that you are. But when you're living in a place like this, it's like that's what it turns you into, like, and it's hard. So to just wrap your head around that and be able to do that, it's just like that shows like you know what's going on, you're aware, you're awake, you're aware, basically. I just that hit me hard when I heard his story. I was like, wow, like that's crazy. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy.
Nice. Who
I
wants to
really
go next?
appreciate what you said, Melissa, about letting go. I think that's something that I and my mom are going through together. She raised me to be who she thought I wanted to be, but now it's up to me to be who I want to be and become the person that I want to be. So a lot of that has been like a part of her letting go and being okay with not knowing what's to come, and I've had to accept that as well. And for myself is just letting go of the need to meet people's expectation and meet traditional expectations of what my life is supposed to be. Just really walking in my truth and accepting things for what they are rather than what they should be.
Ashay.
If I may, 3 generations of men in my family, no, 4, have been accosted by the police. My father has been accosted by the police. His grandfather was accosted by the police. I've been accosted by the police. And one of my sons have been accosted by the police. Daddy was actually tased. So if anybody has a reason to be bent out of shape about the relationship between those who are supposed to serve and protect and those whom they aren't supposed to serve and protect, it would be us. But fortunately, the things around me, the men around me, the heroes around me have lived lives that keep me from sustaining the bitterness about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And me being a little older than the rest of you, my father saw, whites only signs. I've never seen that. I haven't lived through that. You know what I mean? I knew about prejudice and racism, but as a kid, I didn't really experience it. I didn't really notice those kinds of things until I got older. But being a Black man in this country, the things you have to go through, if they don't hurt you, they strengthen you. Or sometimes they hurt you and they strengthen you.
Right.
And that's what has happened. That's what has happened to me. And on a slightly different note, I have like a bunch of heroes, but I got 3 superheroes.
Okay.
Okay. 2 of them are no longer with me in the flesh. Patricia Marie Long Carter, my mother, amazing woman, superhero. Gertrude Virginia Carter Locklear, Daddy's mom. Daddy told me one time I had gotten in a little trouble as a teenager. He said, man, you're disappointing me, but you broke your grandmother's heart. And you broke your grandmother's heart, and that's not cool. Because me, I would die for you, but I would at least ask why. Your grandmother would and wouldn't even ask why. So that always stuck with me. And then my still living superhero, and yes, it gets kind of sappy, but it's true, is Abu. Okay.
Definitely.
Just the way, you know how some people live their life and they set out to change the world, like Martin Luther King, they do it on purpose. But then some people just live a certain way, and just the way they live on an everyday life affects everybody around them. That's how Daddy is. That's how Harold Sargent is. That's how Nandi is. Okay, that's how Cheryl Smith was. You know what I mean? These weren't people who set out to do these great magnanimous things, but still had great and magnanimous impact. And so that's another aspect of what I wanted to point out. And funny enough, the piece that I had written was twice as long, and it mentioned a lot more things. So I'm glad for this Q&A, because I get to mention a couple of these things. But you young gentlemen, keep doing what you're doing, okay? And keep living who you are. The folks around you who care about you, they'll let you know if you're about to step off the cliff. You know I'll do that. So, but thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. I want to hear from Tyran. Uh-huh.
Well, I kind of related to each and one of y'all stories and stuff, like, because I'm dealing with that right now. My mother, as a 37-year-old man and stuff, like, my mother still having that hard time facing the fact and the reality of it, that I'm a grown man. I'm out here in society. I done been through it all. I done been incarcerated for years after years and stuff, like, and now that I'm home and stuff, like, she still don't want to let me go and stuff, like, so. And then listen to Alvin and stuff with all these great men in his life and stuff, like, it made me think about my life and stuff, like, I really didn't have no great man and stuff, like, I really didn't and stuff, but I have a son and stuff that I do want to do well for. Yeah, I want to be there for him and stuff, and it bring me to the Tamla and stuff, like, I do gotta accept the fact that I gotta change within myself and change what I known to grow up into. Like, I gotta kind of like shut all of that down and stuff and really be a grown man out here and stuff, and be a real, genuine, love supported father, brother, son, boyfriend,
All that.
everything up above and stuff. Like I really gotta be, I really gotta be a better person. Like I'm learning every day and stuff, and it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be contemplation and stuff, but on a lot of things and stuff, I just can't fall weak, and I gotta keep listening to good people like all of you.
Yo, to be honest with you, bro, if it wasn't for when I saw you the first time at the riverfront and part of this thing, I probably wouldn't even like, because I relate to you a little bit better than like, I don't want to say like than everybody else, but it's just like, yeah, like the way that you talk, the things you've been through, you could tell like you grew up here, like, or in some type of, you feel me? So I could relate to you, and to see that you participating in stuff like this is like, that's what's helping me be here. Like that's what's helping me want to, like, it's encouraging me to be like, yeah, I could do that, and I'm not gonna be quote unquote lame or people feel me.
Not.
You feel
Definitely
me?
not.
Like I'm not gonna
Because
feel me, and I'm not really worried about that. But it's just that's how it goes. Like that's just crazy.
it
bro.
definitely take a lot of courage and stuff. And I tell some of my boys and stuff that still in the hood and stuff. But when I talk about things like that, like what I'm doing with Judy, what I'm doing with the ACLU, everything, a lot of organizations, what I'm doing just period positive and stuff. Like they look at me and they salute me and stuff, like, because I got the courage, I found my voice to really found. I'm still struggling with it and stuff, like, but I'm making a change and finding that courage within myself to really help out and stuff. Like, and people respect you when they admire you way more. You will get like their respect will go longer.
And people that actually matter too, like,
Yeah.
like they respect actually matter. They could put you somewhere better. They could help your situation if you know how to carry yourself. Like, and it's just crazy. Like that's how you're supposed to be, bro. I swear.
So proud of you.
It's hard out here, but it's also beautiful out
Yeah.
here. Okay, it is hard, but it's always been hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's always been hard. But I said, when sometimes you have people looking after you and you're not even aware of it. Right. You know what I mean? So, I said, keep your head up, personally.
Don't be bitter, like you said. Don't take the bitterness out of it, like you said.
Personally, I believe in the Most High. I'm a podium bumping, Bible thumping minister of the gospel. That's where I'm coming from. So I view everything through that lens. But one of the things is it teaches me is that all of this, good and bad, it's temporary, right? All of this, good and bad. When I had occasion to speak to incarcerated folks, even if you got life, it's still temporary, okay? But what you do while you're here, just make sure you do something that leaves it a little better than the way you found it. You know what I mean? Just leave it a little better, and that's what you brothers are doing. That's what you're doing, Tam.
And Tam.
Yeah, that's what you're doing, Tam.
We're a team on this. I can't wait for the next one. But this is a strong panel here. Hope y'all tune into the next episodes of Sons and Sons or Response and Call. DeAndre's ready to shoot the JDPP movie. But anyway, I do have to wrap us up. We've had a great night. It's been an emotional journey. We've really got a chance to examine the costs and examine the treasures and the lessons and the opportunities to grow, hold on, and let go. Thank you to Robin, Free Center, Judy Dorwin. Thanks for pulling us together and allowing us to tell our stories. And please, please, please keep on supporting what's happening in the arts in Hartford for this organization and for everybody that you know that could benefit from it. And last but not least, there's so many things I could say last but not least, but just please keep supporting. Use this as an opportunity to take action yourself about how to change some of the ills in the world, even from your own little perspective, from your living room, from your phone, wherever you are. The response and the call is meant to allow us to try to see how we can push forward together as a community. So please
Big
do what
ups
you
to
can.
Judy.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. That's so sad. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. Peace and blessing.
Right.
All right, Abu.
My dude.
Right,
My
final
dude right there.
final words. Yay.